KSEE24 believes education matters, and we're proud to showcase the 2015 Top Dog Alumni Award winners in partnership with the Fresno State Alumni Association. Now, Top Dog Honors.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Stefani Booroojian. I'm a news anchor at KSEE24 and a proud graduate of Fresno State. During the next hour, we'll take time to introduce 14 individuals recently honored by the Fresno State Alumni Association as top dogs. Their accomplishments and service to the community and the university is impressive. Here are your first top dogs.
In 2003, I sensed something was horribly wrong in my family at home. My son, I knew he was slipping away from us, and this is really hard to talk about, but I started writing, and a year later, we lost Alex.
I did the one thing the only thing that I knew how to do. I started writing. And that was the time probably when some of you might have first seen some of my op-ed pieces. I began writing like a mad woman. I mean, words literally became my oxygen.
The outpour of love and support we received made me feel like we need to lift this mask. And it was in that moment that I decided to breathe out loud. I'm a Valley girl. I'm homegrown. I was born in Fresno. I grew up in Southeast Fresno in a very modest, lower middle class neighborhood. I was very uncomfortable in my own skin. You know, it was hard growing up being Armenian. You know, I had curly hair. My name was Armen. I always got put into boys' classes, and I just wasn't sure who I was. Plus, I was an identical twin, and so, you know, you're looking in the mirror, not sure who you are anyway. And my sixth grade teacher said, "You need to read William Saroyan." And he gave me a copy of My Name is Aram. And it was so inspiring because every single page was telling a story about someone who sounded a lot like my uncle, my aunt, somebody I knew in the neighborhood. And little by little, he made me feel very comfortable in my own skin. And reading his work as an adult, as opposed to reading it as a child, the interpretation, the messages are so much deeper about the human condition, about life, and about living life passionately. It was really inspiring to me. My time at Fresno State, I felt like I was just starting to come of age. And during my third year, I remember I used to love hanging out in the library in the stacks way in the back. And I remember coming down the stairs one day and seeing a poster inviting students to apply to study abroad. And that moment for me was so defining. And something in me said, you have to do this. Much to the chagrin of my parents, they said, you're going where? Well, you're going to apply to go to school where? And I wanted to go to France. I had studied the French language all my life. And by August, I was on an airplane with the CSU system, flying to the south of France, where I would spend more than a year studying language and literature and really the study of life. And I credit Fresno State. Had I not, I think, been in a university setting where you're invited to grow and stretch and experiment with life, it would have never happened. And I would probably just be telling you about my life in this little bubble of Fresno. When I decided to leave to explore being a writer/author, it felt like I was diving off my rooftop onto the concrete, and I was scared to death. But there's something about getting goosebumps and being scared that makes you feel like you're in kindergarten all over again.
Fresno State is so magically woven into every chapter of my life. I mean, not only was it the place that gave me wings as a student, but now 4 years after I've lost my child, I get a phone call from Fresno State.
A lecturer in the English department had lost her daughter on Christmas Day, and nobody knew what to do. They said, would you make contact? And I said, of course. And Nancy Miller, my co-author, and I met at Uncle Harry's and across the street from Fresno State. And in a moment unlike anything else, we decided that we would chronicle our grief journeys for one entire year.
I thought, is it possible to take the worst day of my life and use it possibly as a catalyst for the greatest work I will ever do on this planet?
Set us both, I think, on a course that we had no idea that we would be on. But I can't stop. I'm now a full-fledged writer, and I really credit the CSU Summer Arts Program for helping me create that language, to help me learn the craft, and to look at me during my darkest moments and say, yes, you can. Had I not taken that first risk, writing about losing my son, I wouldn't be sitting here today saying, are you sure I'm the top dog? I wouldn't be here. And so that's the message I try to send to everybody is, live your best life, care about other people, but take risks and push the envelope and live your passion.
It's what I think is going to make America go or not go is a good education. It better be a good one, because we're faced with many, many problems nowadays, more so maybe than ever before. But education is the key to it, and people that are capable and competent and can come to grips with some of these big problems we have, no matter what it's in. We're up here at Gold Arrow Camp, and it's a high-end camp that has been here since 1933. My son and daughter-in-law are owners and managers of it, and my wife and I come up here and we just help out. My wife was an accountant, and she works in the office and pays the bills. I bring my shop up here, and I spend the summers making signs, furniture, things that they need to help the program. I was born in Illinois, a town named Litchfield. I had a hospital there. I lived on a farm, and the mailing address was Walshville, which nobody knows where that is. And I ended up going to Illinois State with a bachelor's degree in industrial arts in '58, and in 1963, and a master's degree in counseling at Illinois State. Applied for a doctoral program at Arizona State, and I got accepted. So we spent a few years there, and then off to Fresno State. I've totally enjoyed being at Fresno State. So I had 38 years of paid or half-paid position, and after that it was all voluntary, and there was about 8 years voluntary service. We opened up the Ed building in '94. That was another major project I was involved with for about 10 years, close to 10 years, and that's hard to believe, but it was a project that lasted that long. We were sitting down talking about what might we do to connect with small donors. And by small donors, I'm talking about, in this case, a brick for $100 that would have your name on it or somebody you wanted to honor's name on it. Anyway, the first wall was built about 75 feet long, about 4 feet high. It holds 935 bricks on one side and another 935 on the back side. And so we're on our second wall. It's 3/4 filled. Very popular. We've had one lady came from Japan to see her brick. So it's again very good. I think it's one of the greatest places to work. You have bright people. Fortunately, I had very good support staff all the time, and I couldn't say enough good about them.
Hi, everyone. I'm George Takata, the morning anchor of KSEE24 Sunrise, and a proud graduate of Fresno State class of 1997. From football games to journalism projects to internships, my time at Fresno State makes up some of my best memories. It set me on the path which led me here to KSEE24. I'm proud to be a Fresno State alumni and proud to present your next set of Top Dogs.
I often say that I'm very ambitious, but I don't have any ambition. The opportunities that I've had always sort of surprise me. I have never been able to imagine any of my futures, and I've had many of them. I grew up in a very blue-collar, working-class family. My father only went to 8th grade. No one in my family went to college, so getting to Fresno State was a huge accomplishment. I was dating my now husband of 43 years. We both went to Hanford High School. He was at Fresno State, so I went to Fresno State. But it was a huge opportunity for me to be there and to experience fabulous professors, wonderful peers. I treasure the experience I had. Well, we got married 10 days after I graduated. I always say Dan was a feminist way before I was. He never could imagine that I wouldn't be his equal. So as I had concerns or insecurities, he was always there to say, what do you mean you don't think you can do it? Of course you can do it. By the time he got out of law school, I was on the staff of the governor of the state of California. I was only 24 years old. The 70s were an extraordinary time, and the governor was very young, and he brought in an amazing collection of big thinkers. I just wanted to listen and absorb and be around people from so many different perspectives than I had been exposed to in my Valley experience. We have 2 grown daughters. One was born practically in the Capitol. The legislature's in recess in November, so she was born on November 13th, and I was back when they were back in January with a little crib in my office and nursing her during the breaks. It was just natural for me to be a mom and to do my job at the same time, and so my family is the very most important thing. In 2006, the CEOs of the other children's hospitals in California recruited me to be the head of the California Children's Hospital Association. And so we moved to Sacramento in the summer of 2006. Little did any of us even imagine at that point that Jerry Brown would be governor again. After he was elected in November 2010, I accepted his invitation to serve, and I'm very glad I did. I'm very humbled every day by the people with whom I work. Health and Human Services attracts people who care very much about the most vulnerable people in California. It's my responsibility to create the environments for everyone to succeed. We try to make government work well for the people of California.
Primary thing is I tell them is education is key, because nobody can really take that away from you. And so whether you don't, even if you don't want to be an engineer, I always encourage them that they should at least go get a degree at a university, because that's going to help them. That provides that foundational base for the rest of their life. I mean, you're making a difference when you are an engineer. I mean, we're changing the way we live, the way we get around, the way we communicate, and it's a really good career for you to be in. So I'm the Central Valley Regional Director for the High-Speed Rail Authority. We're going to be able to spread out the economies of the state throughout the state. So spreading out the economies of Los Angeles into the valley, same thing with San Francisco. So it's just really connecting all of California together. I was raised in Parlier, a small little community in Fresno County, and grew up in Parlier, went to Parlier High, and then I got accepted at Fresno State and to study engineering. And on the first day, Dr. Rowland scared us, in terms of this is how you're gonna show your work. You have to show this, you have to show that. The whole first day was just really scaring us of how we needed to show our work. So what I learned from him was how to go in there, approach every problem, lay it all out, and get to an answer. So there was, of course, other professors, and I'm not sure if they realize that, they're just teaching us one subject, but how they teach it, leaves an everlasting impression on you. And their primary mission is to encourage young youth to get into the world of engineering. And if you think about where I came from, Parlier, there is no engineering surrounding me.